consequences for real American people. So get over your damn glibness.
Well, here, let me keep going. See if this helps you any. What did you mean when you said you wish that you had been able to be transparent, but you'd rather have the law than not?
Once again, it was my trying to conjecture about a political process in which I'm not an expert.
Well, what did you mean when you said it was written in a tortured way to make sure the CBO didn't score the mandate as a tax?
Once again, it was using inappropriate language to try to sound impressive about something to my colleagues.
You see a trend developing here, Professor Gruber?
I don't understand the question.
It's a lot of stupid quotes you've made. That's the trend.
A lot of
you see them?
Inexcusable quotes. Yeah.
Right. And again, your defense is that you're not a politician. The lack of transparency is a huge political advantage. Well, what is a non-politician to do in talking about political advantages?
A non-politician is talking about political advantages to try to make himself seem smarter by conjecturing about something he doesn't really know.
So you're a professor at MIT and you're worried about not looking smart enough?
Yes.
Well, you succeeded.
All right, that's Trey Gowdy from the hearings, the Gruber hearings earlier today. Well, you succeeded, and there's a lot to this, more than I think even the media is beginning to touch on, because the basic argument Gruber is making is, I really just was bragging and I'm insecure, and is it really that, or is he just telling the truth? Because I argue that he told the truth, got caught, and now has been told to silence himself, shut down, and fall on his sword. Anyway, here to examine all of this, we have Dr. Benjamin Carson and Betsy. Guys.
The strategy of selling this bill to the American public and Congress by lying, the lying strategy was invented at the top by President Obama himself. It's the White House lie machine that has been selling this lie. Even before he became president, as candidate Obama, way back when he was running in the Democratic primary, he lied and said, unlike his rivals, he would never force Americans to buy health insurance. That was just the first of many, many, many lies.
Yeah, well, and also, we know that Gruber met with the president how many hours in the Oval Office?
Well, if it wasn't Gruber, it would have been somebody else. He's just an unimportant, big-mouth, tired gun. The fact is, even now, when Gruber has been exposed as a hired liar, the administration is doubling down on their lying. They lied about the recent enrollment figures, including dental plans, which weren't supposed to be included. They lied last week in a new report that says hospitals are safer because of Obamacare. It isn't. They lied and said Obamacare was controlling costs in a big report last week. That was untrue as well.
Yeah, well, so starting with you can keep your plan, keep your doctor, the mandate's not a tax, healthy people are not subsidizing sick people, all of which has been exposed, and that the average American is going to save money. So all of that was true. Now, going to Gruber's comments, we'll go to Dr. Carson. Dr. Carson, you were making the point that they passed this bill with deception, and that we should revisit it. Dr. Carson?
Yeah, if there's any decency left in us, because otherwise we're setting up a precedent that says it doesn't matter how you get something through, just get it through, and it stands.
Yeah.
That's right, and James Madison anticipated this, Sean, way back 200 years ago in Federalist 62. James Madison, the chief architect of the Constitution, warned against ever allowing Congress to pass laws, and these are Madison's own words, so voluminous that no one can read them, or so constantly changed that a reasonable person doesn't know what the law is. That is Obamacare to a T. It is that intentional deception and obfuscation.
Well, this was when he says that they purposely deceived the CBO, they purposely deceived the American people. That now we get into this problem with Congress. Number one, their Republicans seem weak and they seem timid. And number two, I don't get the sense that they're willing to take this to the extent that they need to take it, which is to use the power of the purse and defund the entire thing.
By the way, Gruber got caught in another lie today as he was trying to weasel out of one of his earlier lies. On several occasions, he previously said that only citizens in the states that had set up their own health exchanges were eligible for subsidies, a question that is now before the United States Supreme Court. He tried to weasel out of those previous statements today, saying, well, he meant if the administration didn't set up a federal exchange, if they chose not to. But Section 1321 of this law, as he is well aware, requires the federal government to set up that exchange. So here he was caught in another lie today, just as he's apologizing for his previous lies.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to me like the Congress should have gotten the message from the midterm elections. The people want someone to stand up to this guy who was running roughshod over the Constitution, over the separation of powers. They need to stop being afraid.
Well, I agree that there's a level of timidity on behalf of the Congress, but now we're at the point, well, what do we do with all of this? In other words, I would like to see the Republicans defund this. I would like to see the Republicans, when they get control of the House and the Senate, they have power of the purse. That's their constitutional authority. They had hoped that the Supreme Court would overturn this. They didn't. John Roberts buckled at the last minute. So the question is, do they have the wherewithal to reverse all of this, defund all of this, and start anew? And I don't think they do.
Nothing is more discouraging than to see the lame duck Congress this week being allowed to set spending levels until next September. These are the Democrats who were defeated. Americans have thrown them out of office. Allowing them to make spending decisions till next September is like allowing your ex-wife to keep your checkbook.
I agree. That's absolutely absurd. I can't even imagine what the rationale was for that.
For the omnibus rather than a continuing resolution.
That's right.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I mean, it's really, really sad, because that was why these guys were elected. I mean, they're taking their mandate and they're just throwing it down the sewer.
Well, it really makes you wonder, what is motivating them? Are they interested in being the representatives of the people, or are they just interested in keeping their jobs?
Oh, you are so right. You just put your finger on it. These are go-along to get-along politicians, and it's very discouraging to watch them put their public image ahead of actually standing up for our United States Constitution and the rule of law.
Well, someone should make it very clear to them that the people are tired of it, and it's not going to work because they're going to lose their job if they don't stand up.
You say in your article out today, Betsy, that they're still cooking the Obamacare books. It was in the New York Post.
Yes, they are. Just in the last week, they released 2 brand new reports with lots of fanfare, and the reports were crammed full of lies. One of them claimed that Obamacare has substantially reduced annual health care spending increases. Wrong. That happened before Obamacare was even enacted. And secondly, they claimed that it was making hospitals safer. Of course, when they issued their report card on hospital safety, they totally refused to count the hospital infection that's killing the most Americans, Clostridium difficile, something that Dr. Carson, I'm sure, is well aware of. So, yes, they are continuing to lie to this very day, doubling down on the lies, and you saw Gruber doing it as well.
And they're distorting the facts because some of the people who got Obamacare have such high deductibles that they're not going in and getting medical care, which, of course, drives the cost down.
Well, the strategy as outlined in the Washington Examiner today is that the Republican strategy has come early 2015 that they're going to push to repeal the 2.3% tax on medical devices that kicked in last year as part of this act. Now, they control both houses of Congress. It seems to me that with the power of the purse that they can defund the entire Obamacare disaster lock, stock, and barrel, could they not?
Well, certainly just focusing on the device tax would be very disappointing. All of us who are fighting for freedom didn't go to the barricades just to eliminate a medical device tax. The fact is that this Congress should be putting forward bills to repeal the individual mandate, the job-killing employer mandate, that IPAB board that rations care for seniors, and more than anything, how about that special deal for members of Congress to get subsidies?
Well, but you see, the problem is, I think, much deeper, because they're going for low-hanging fruit, and every year that passes, this remains the law of the land.
There are some excellent alternatives, and they really need to put those out there and put them in a way that people can see them, put them on a website that works, something that people will actually like. And I know of a number of plans, and I want the leadership to understand that you can't just, defund it and repeal it without having something else in place. That's
all right. Let's go back to the hearings from earlier today. This is Dara Lysa asking Gruber if he's just stupid.
Night before last, I was at the Kennedy Center Honors, where they honored Tom Hanks, famously Forrest Gump, the ultimate in successful stupid man. Are you stupid?
I don't think so, no.
Does MIT employ stupid people?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, so you're a smart man who said as the ranking member said, some really stupid things. And you said the same. Is that correct?
The comments I made were really inexcusable.
Let me just jump in here for a moment, Sean, because I have a PhD from Columbia. I used to teach there, and I'm familiar with this academic hubris, and that's what it is. Maybe Jonathan Gruber isn't stupid in the sense of a low IQ, but he sure is dumb about the values that make this country great.
I think that's pretty well said. We've got another cut here of Jonathan Gruber with Representative Mike Turner asking Gruber if anyone in the administration discussed with him Obamacare in a tortured way. Here's what he said.
I'd like you to think back. You said, this bill was written in a tortured way to make sure CBO did not score the individual mandate as taxes. Did you ever speak to anyone in the administration who acknowledged that to you, or to explain that to you, or who assigned a problem with you with the construct of that we have to draft this in a torture way so that we make sure CBO did not score the individual mandate as taxes? And you are under oath, Mr. Gruber. Did anybody in the administration have that conversation with you?
That was an inexcusable term used by...
I'm not asking you about how you believe that, whether or not you've said that or not. It's a factual statement you're making. Did anybody in the administration ever have that conversation with you?
I do not recall anyone using the word tortured, no.
Did they have the conversation with you that it had to be drafted in a way that the CBO did not score the individual mandate as taxes? Anyone in the administration acknowledge it, explain it, or assign aspects to you within that construct?
I don't.
You are under oath.
I honestly do not recall.
I honestly don't recall.
Well, he's obviously lying. We've all dealt with people who lie. That's the kind of answer that.
Yeah. All right, guys, I got to let you both go. Dr. Carson, thank you for being with us. You running for president?
I'm inching ever closer, seems.
All right, we'll continue to follow it. And Betsy, thank you. Appreciate it. Hey, listen, sending flowers will brighten